Okay, we are back. It's been a long couple of weeks. We have missed you. Welcome back to Chiropractic is Sexy. I'm Dr. Paula Ruffin.
And I'm Dr. Erica Peabody, and there is a certain thing about our Thursdays together that keeps us both so jazzed up about what we're doing, honestly. So just want to say thank you for being here, and thank you to All About the Biology and just all the ways that we're being connected, because I still stay excited, but I get like super jazzed when we review our principles, what we were founded on and built on, and I'm stoked for today.
And we go through each and every week and we tell stories, and as much as that fuels both of us, I wanted to go back because I feel like we didn't squeeze enough of that out on September 18th, which was the birth date of chiropractic, and of course my birthday. And I thought it deserved a revisit, especially. So I was gone 2 weeks ago. Dr. Erica was gone last week, and I was at a chiropractic conference, and I heard this woman speak, Sherry McAllister, and she's incredibly inspiring. She's pretty much she's a firecracker in our profession, and does a lot to further chiropractic research and get the message out about chiropractic and our success and how we help people. And she made a statement, and she said, what if Dee Dee Palmer had never given that first adjustment? Now, she spoke for about an hour, and it was all incredible and profound, but that was the one statement. I immediately texted Erica and I said, we have to discuss this.
Yeah.
And so also a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Erica read The Big Idea. So this whole premise of what if Dee Dee Palmer had never given the first adjustment, I'm going to have Dr. Erica start the podcast by telling you guys the big idea again, because it's so profound and it speaks to what we're going to talk about today and what that one adjustment did, not only for all the people, but for the profession and the world that we've been able to help. So
Yeah,
go,
awesome.
girl.
Actually, it's BJ Palmer wrote The Big Idea, and BJ is actually Dee Dee's son. So Dee Dee was the inventor of chiropractic, and then BJ was considered the developer, because Dee Dee was he was all these other professions initially. And so anyway, BJ writes what's called The Big Idea. The big idea goes like this. A slip on a snowy sidewalk in winter is a small thing. And I already get chills like all the way up my spine just every time I read this. I probably get choked up again. It happens to millions. A fall from a ladder in the summer is a small thing. That also happens to millions. A slip or fall produces a subluxation. The subluxation is a small thing. The subluxation produces pressure on a nerve. That pressure is a small thing. The pressure cuts off the flow of mental impulses. That decreased flow is a small thing. That decreased flowing produces a diseased body and brain. That is a big thing to that man. Multiply that sick man by thousands, and you control the physical and mental welfare of a city. Multiply that man by millions, and you shape the physical and mental destiny of a state. Multiply that man by 130 million, and you forecast and can prophesy the physical and mental status of a nation. Now comes a man. That one man is a small thing. That man gives an adjustment. That adjustment is a small thing. The adjustment replaces the subluxation. That is a small thing. That adjusted subluxation releases pressure upon nerves. That is a small thing. That released pressure restores health to a man. That is a big thing to that man. Multiply that well man by 1,000, and you step up physical and mental welfare of a city. Multiply that well man by millions, and you increase the efficiency of a state. Multiply that well man by 130 million, and you have produced a healthy, wealthy, and better race for posterity. So adjustment of a subluxation to release pressure upon nerves, to restore mental impulse flow, to restore health is a big enough to rebuild thoughts and actions of the world. The idea that knows no cause that can correct cause of disease is one of the biggest ideas known. Without it, nations fall. With it, nations rise. That is the biggest idea I know of. And I get choked up because I can't read it without.
We live it, right?
How big and strong our passion is for what we're doing and how we affect people on the daily, weekly, monthly, and change lives. We really change lives. It's remarkable. We don't ever take it for granted. And it's the biggest thing that we know about ever.
And so when you read The Big Idea, also one of my other favorite quotes was, "You never know how far reaching something you may think, say, or do today will affect the lives of those tomorrow." And that's the same thing. It's taking one person and it's expanding their world in such a way that it's going to fan out. And what really struck me about what if Dee Dee Palmer had never given that first adjustment was the strife. And a lot of you don't know this, but in 1906, Dee Dee Palmer was actually jailed for practicing medicine without a license. Now, the AMA has come after our profession, still comes after our profession, fast and furious. But many, many years ago, and I want to read you a couple of things here. In the first 30 years, there were 12,000 chiropractors that faced more than 15,000 prosecutions nationwide. And they were jailed not because they harmed people, but they were helping people without a medical license. So people were adjusting people, getting them well. And the AMA didn't like it because they were getting people better without drugs and surgery. Yeah. And so that just led into, I think, well, what if that act, what if putting people into jail, what if that then caused a collapse of
what if stopped it?
Yeah, what if that stopped us? And it just keeps going on. And then we come to the in the 1960s, there was a Wilk. Chester Wilk, Dr. Chester Wilk.
Yeah.
So he came along. He was the lead plaintiff in a case that he filed with 4 other chiropractors to challenge the AMAs. It was a conspiracy to contain and eliminate the chiropractic profession through illegal antitrust activities. And I didn't know this until I started putting these notes together for this show, but it was a 17-year lawsuit. They filed it in 1976, and in 1978, the ruling was that the AMA had, in fact, violated antitrust laws, and a judgment that advanced chiropractic's legitimacy and opened doors for the profession was granted. And so it finally was like, cease and desist, allow us to now go on. But 17 years they fought. So there were so many opportunities for people to give up. There were so many opportunities for people to say, this is too much, we can't do this anymore. And they didn't. And now we have a worldwide profession that is getting people well without drugs and surgery. And it's just amazing to me. And for my first few years in practice, I always thought, man, I should have chosen an easier profession. I should have chosen a profession that didn't get persecuted as much as it did. But damn, our profession needs people like me and Dr. Erica to see this side of it and to continue to fight and to be the voice for natural health and healing.
Yeah, I have. Well, this has really come into the forefront now, obviously, because of just where, the MAHA movement is going or where it's taking us. And I have so many patients over the last, I'm going to say really 3 or 4 months. You're probably seeing this too, that they're coming in now asking us their medical questions of like, I don't know if I want to go in for a mammogram. I don't know about childbirth. I don't know about, colonoscopy. I don't know about taking this drug. I don't know about, instead of taking blind faith in what their medical doctors are saying. What I appreciate most, I know that I speak for both of us, is that people are really starting to question where natural health is coming from. And we've been delivering that all along. The greatest part about what we're doing and what we've been doing since 1895, when the first adjustment was given, is we're only helping the body do its job better. Like we're not adding anything into the body. We're not changing chemistry with external chemicals. We're helping the body do its own chemistry change towards health and healing. And it's so profound because even some of the medical association will say, well, chiropractic hasn't changed in 130 years. We don't need to. We don't need to. Yes, we're still called practice because we are practicing, like we are in private practice, but we are not practicing changing and altering chemistry in the body from external chemicals. We are encouraging proper nutrition, encouraging proper movement, getting adjusted, encouraging proper sleep, encouraging proper water intake, eat well, move well, think well, get your rest, get your sleep and get adjusted, or get your water and get adjusted. And we don't stop. It's relentless like that. And I love being part of it because we get people started and then they get moving, they get their life back. I just said to a woman yesterday, maybe it was earlier today, she literally we see people get their entire lives back. They get to enjoy themselves, their spouses, their kids, their grandkids, just by the simple laying on of hands. And it never gets old. It never, ever gets old. We're so far into our careers and it's still so rewarding.
And, with the statistics right now, it's only about 11% of US adults that go to the chiropractor. But to your point, more and more people are wanting more natural and more holistic care. And there's a projection for the profession that it will improve. It will increase by 10% through 2034. Now, if we compare that to medicine, that the typical doctor's visits are seen by almost 85% of US adults. And we're still really, really sick. So this is why we come in and we want to really fight for our profession, because we know that there is a better way. And of course, I always hate that we have to preface it by saying we're not against medicine and there's a time and a place. And okay, that's a given when we talk, right? Yeah. But the regular person, the average person, does not need the medications, the chemistry. You're just a chemistry experiment. And
not safe.
It's not okay. And when you don't have, I was actually getting my hair done yesterday, and my hairdresser was saying she went to her doctor and she's having some digestive issues. And her doctor said to her, well, what do you think is going on? And she's like, that's why I'm here. And that's the problem, is that medical doctors don't know how to manage things unless they fit into a very specific box where they can prescribe a medication or get a test or something like that. And so we are the people who are going to take that 30,000-foot view and help you see things from a different lens, from a more holistic lens. And the fact that the profession is growing is promising, because that's going to then allow us to start to turn health around in the US. Mm-hmm. And, when we look at the MAHA movement and what they're trying to do in Washington, and just try to get people, I mean, my gosh, there's no drug without side effects. Right. So just because a president who you don't like says something, does that really mean, I mean, if he said you shouldn't do heroin, are people going to go out and start shooting up heroin because they hate the guy? Like, people have just lost their freaking minds on the other side of this. Mm-hmm. So we're hoping to bring some sanity back.
We do. And we always want to share. So first of all, chiropractors are the highest credentialed in the wellness industry. So we're the ones with the highest credential, just meaning we've done the most education. We are direct
4,200 hours.
Yep. And also we're the largest cohort in the wellness industry. So we're the largest group of professionals in the wellness industry. So we do tend to, like, some of my patients are like, I don't have a PCP, I see my chiropractor. Like, I don't have a pediatrician, I see my chiropractor. Now, there is a time and place, of course, for emergency medicine, always. And
you have to say it like this.
I know, but I always encourage the new parents, because they're like, what pediatrician am I supposed to go to? I'm like, I wish after 20 plus years in practice, I would have a long list of pediatricians that were more respectful of the natural way that the egg and a sperm came together created this amazing body. We don't have to put anything into it. We just have to allow it to do the things as best as it can. So I do always encourage parents to have a pediatrician in their back pocket, but not to go unless it's an absolute emergency. Because I got to tell you, there was this one woman, she's actually my cousin's stepdaughter, and she has a new baby. And so it's like 4 months old and whatever. And so she posted, oh, my Dave has the first illness. And of course it's hard to watch your baby have an illness and a fever and lethargy and all that. But if you let them, they will fight through it and be stronger on the other side. So 3 days in, she takes this little one to the pediatrician. And she said, oh, the pediatrician didn't have any answers for me because my baby was no longer symptomatic of anything. And it's like, and I said, that is awesome. You're probably at the right place, because I didn't automatically also try to give you a medicine to do whatever, because they're now realizing you have to just let the body do this thing. And every fever is an upgrade. Every single time our body gets to fight and wins over, which it always will. It always will. Unless you have you went some foreign place and you've contracted something super foreign. Around in our world, our body's analyzing and adjusting according to what's in our exterior. So I loved that post that she was like, well, I guess nothing's wrong. And then I really wanted to say, come get adjusted. But I don't also want to get on my soapbox necessarily on social media, well, except for here. But I think we should go back and talk about the very first adjustment, where that even came from, because I'm sure we have some new listeners today of like, this wasn't for neck pain, low back pain, headaches. It wasn't for that. So.
Well, and so that was, on September 18th, which was the birth of chiropractic and my birthday. I always have to say that.
Yes,
that's
please
my calling.
Always.
And so there was a first adjustment that was given by D.D. Palmer, and he was a magnetic healer. And so what that means is he was already doing some woo-woo stuff. And this is what people did back then. But he saw, Harvey Lillard, he was a janitor at the building, and Harvey Lillard had lost his hearing. And D.D. Palmer noticed that he had like a lump in his back. And Harvey Lillard said he fell and he sustained this injury. And since then he had lost his hearing. And so Didi put him on the table and he started working with him, and he pushed on his spine. And I think it was somewhere in the mid back. Yeah. And it was, I don't know, 3 or 4 adjustments, 5 adjustments. It wasn't that many from the different sources that I've that I've seen. And his hearing was restored. And like, what? Like the nervous system had interference. And I always, when I put a new patient in the room, I turn the lights off and I shut the door so it's dark. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, imagine if your brain tried to talk to your body, but the lights are out. Imagine if I tried to hand you a book right now and asked you to read it. And they would say, well, I would need the lights on. I'm like, exactly. So why do you think your body would function better? Or do you think your body would function better if the lights were on? And this is what we do. We open up the channels of energy. We open up those lines of communication so the brain can communicate with the body. Well, it was no different in that day. And of course, to Dr. Erica's point, there's no accounts of anyone ever having their hearing restored from chiropractic ever again. However, there's hundreds of thousands of stories of people who've had women who've gotten pregnant, digestive issues clearing up. I have patients who come in, they're like, oh, my lazy eye is getting to be a little annoying. I need to get adjusted, because that nerve to the eyes is right here. And we'll focus on that upper cervical. And when we adjust that, it's getting the brain to communicate through the optic nerve to the eyes so it can function better. So there's so much just with reconnecting the brain to the body and getting those messages moving with clarity, that the body, we say it performs miracles, but it's just healing.
Like it's just healing.
Yeah.
Every time we adjust, we just demand the body to go into a more healing response, into an elevated healing energy. And Silly Lily, magnetic healing dates back 4,000 years. And there were on the drawings on the inside of caves that are known worldwide that there were quote unquote bone setters. So there were people laying down on benches and there were people doing what we do way, 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 way back. We just now, as of 1895, and D. D. Palmer, his son BJ, and then Daniel David as well, the following. And then some of the other big people that are in our chiropractic profession have given it a framework and then have continued to advance it's three things. It's science for one. And it's so funny to even say science at this point, this many years.
Yeah.
Like it's real science, anatomy, physiology kind of science. It's a philosophy that the body's self-healing, self-regulating. It just needs no interference to that process. And then it's an art form. Like I always say this, my biggest patient was 6'9" and 450 pounds. And the smallest ones are 4-pounders. They're the preemies that are just out of the hospital. And the art form, so it's science, philosophy, and art. The art is how to work with the adjustment with said body style. Pregnant or large or small or heavy or thin or 2 years old or 89 years old. So it's a beautiful art form that we get to figure out how to adjust them and to get them moving and rocking and rolling. So yeah.
And even sometimes the big people, just because you have a bigger person doesn't mean you're lighting into them. And just because you have a smaller person doesn't always mean you take the most tender touch. Like sometimes you have to be a little more forceful with your tiny people, not your babies, but let's say a smaller woman. Right. And then you have to be a little gentler with a larger man. Like and that is the art form. And that is the training to be able to know and understand what each body requires of us. And, we're not just lighting into people willy-nilly. And, I had a new patient yesterday, and I always start this way with a new patient when I go to adjust them. And I say, listen, I'm gonna do some stretching. I just want to kind of feel the muscles. I want to feel the spine because I want you to get used to my hands, and my hands need to get used to your body. And that once we understand that, it's a beautiful choreographed dance. But I just go really light with my adjustments to start, because I am trying to make this connection with them and their bodies and what it needs. And I can't just like go, lighting into somebody. The human body is amazing, but it also is delicate at the same time. We have to really utilize that art form to be able to make sure we're doing the right thing and taking the right care of them.
Yeah. So I have a new patient this morning who was in a car accident 2 weeks ago. She's a senior in high school. So I'm going to explain 2 different seniors in high school. So this one that got in a car accident, she pulled out and she had the right of way. She got clipped and her car rolled and she landed on the hood of the car. She was still seat belted in. It was literally right down the street. She had just left church 2 Sundays ago. And they had to get the jaws of life and literally pull her out. And she said one of her friends drove by, and she thought that this particular patient, she was pulling out a dead body of one of her very close friends. So this body needs a very different touch than said other senior who has been playing high level high level high school and travel volleyball, who had a hip injury. But their bodies really adjust very similar. They're very similar body style, same ages, actually go to the same high school. I don't even know if they're friends, but they go to the same high school. And it's like, this is kind of an example of when that body gets whipped around and is hit by airbags, bruised by seatbelts, flipped upside down and pulled out by the jaws of life, as compared to somebody who's overuse and all of that. We get to see both of them. And I know 6 weeks into care, at the level that I'm going to treat this volleyball player, and 6 weeks into care at the level that I'm going to treat this car accident client, they will have the very similar, because healing is healing. It's just a little bit different approach. So I just kind of wanted to describe, like, that's the beautiful art form of, I know this new patient that I had just this morning, first, she's never been adjusted ever. Both of them had never been adjusted ever. She was nervous to come in. She left with huge smiles on her face. She hasn't been able to go to school for the last 2 weeks. It was the week of homecoming. She couldn't do powder puffs. She did get dressed up enough to go to the dance on Saturday. She's got 2 broken hands, casted one, one's
Poor
braced.
baby.
I know, but she was able to go, and she was also like, I couldn't stay because the music and her concussion, it was like too much. Now I know 6 weeks into care, this gal is going to feel absolutely amazing, get back and have a normal, regular senior year and get all of those faculties back on board. And if she would have waited 2 months, 3 months, this whole thing would affect her entire senior year. I'm so grateful and honored that they're now here. And so anyway, it's just, that is kind of the art form of like, we know how to address bodies, similar, same age, similar, different circumstances, little different adjusting, looks very similar. So anyway, it's amazing.
And also take that same scenario for so many people, because how often do we see people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and I'll look at an x-ray and I'll be like, when were you, like, you were in a pretty bad car accident. Well, that was when I was a teenager. That has nothing to do with this. Like, oh, yeah, no, I'm looking at it. Actually, it has everything to do with this. And so once the spine goes out of alignment, it has to remodel to its new position. So think about if you never rotated the tires on your car, one side is balding, the other side is out of balance. You're going to get wear and tear based on this out of balance. And that's what the spine does. And that's why we see degeneration. That's why we see arthritis. We see the bones changing shape. We see wearing and tearing on the discs, which is the cushion in between the bones. And then they will say, oh, wow, I didn't even know about coming to a chiropractor.
Right.
Because only 11% of people, which is still a lot of people, but it's not enough, come to the chiropractor. And if you have had a, you ready? Slip, trip, fall, accident, injury, anything.
Ever.
anything. You need to come to the chiropractor, like stat, like immediately. And how many times, think about this one, how many times have you like stood up and maybe you left your cabinet door open in your kitchen, you cracked your head, right? Or you got out of the car and you got out too soon and you hit your head and that compression, that is spinal injury. And we have to really pay attention to all of those little things because they do build up over time. But certainly when somebody plays high school sports, let's talk about that for a second, is that even in the absence of an accident like your patient had, if you're playing any kind of high school sports, you are getting injured each and every time you're out in that court, whether it's practice or the game, whether you feel pain or not, because your body is getting beaten up from all of that activity. Think about wrestlers and football players and baseball players running and diving for a ball and boom, landing on the ground. Volleyball players boom, hitting the ground. That's all constant whiplash and constant battering of the spine. And so if you have kids who are in sports, 100% of them need to be under chiropractic care, because if you want them to be the healthiest possible adults and not show up in our offices when they're 40 years old and be like, I've had this chronic pain and I can't move my head and I've got numbness and tingling in my hands, get them to the chiropractor now.
Yeah. So even before sports, when we talk about the spine, I mean, we fall on average of 3,000 times by the age of 2, just learning to walk. And we've all seen babies take like major face plants, like doing the scorpion, all the things, right? And they always look to the parents and say, how's mom reacting to that is how they'll react. And usually parents, because they don't want to deal with a screaming toddler, you're okay. And they got a big smile on their face. All of those things matter as well. And so everybody, not just through sports, but just everybody, no matter what you're doing. But then I was thinking when you were talking about that, like the 40-year-old that comes in and they're like, when was your accident? And they're like, oh, that was my teenage years. I'm thinking about my patient that came in after 10 days from the accident. Then I have a 50-year-old patient that waited 2 months to come in. I knew of this accident and he started care 2 months later. This patient at 17 years old and this patient at 50 years old waiting 2 months, it's a very different healing response. So some people will say, "Oh, I got in a car accident. I don't know if I should go in." I can tell you this one that I've been talking about that's a senior in high school, her spine has a really good chance of not getting to that degenerative spine that you're talking about that you see on x-ray. Her body, instead of laying down fibers to build scar tissue to try and hold this in place, which then leads to degenerative changes in the spine, she has an awesome opportunity of somebody never seeing that accident show up on x-ray in her 40s. She really has an awesome yes, there was still major injury. She's majorly injured right now, but her body now gets to lay down fibers as it's healing in more of a proper alignment, but also proper movement. Because all of this movement that we get on a daily basis is how our body's going to heal. It's going to either heal like this, and then we're like this, or we get to have proper range of motion and our body and segments heal with motion inside of them. That is the biggest difference to the numbness and tingling that are going to come down to hands. We got double carpal tunnel syndrome. We have, thoracic outlet syndrome, migraine headaches, all of the things and stress throughout the whole body, which then leads to pain medication, the opioid pandemic that has gone on that everybody's heard about. These are the things that need to be done on a regular basis, no matter what, to help your body do its job best. And I just think about that patient that I started this morning, and I look forward to her healing so that she can then heal and grow and develop normally through 20s, 30s, and beyond.
And I love the idea of giving someone a better future, whether you're 17 or 70, you're giving somebody a better future. And people will say, is chiropractic safe? And it's actually safer than doing nothing.
Yeah.
Safer than doing nothing. When you do nothing, that scar tissue lays down. It does lay the groundwork for more arthritis and degeneration later on in life. And, we've said this before that it's never been recalled. Chiropractic has never been recalled. We have been persecuted. We've been prosecuted. We have been attempted. The attempt has been to wipe us off the face of the earth, but they couldn't do it because we weren't actually ever harming people. We were getting them well. And I know I'm grateful for those people who fought hard, who had such firm belief in what they were doing and what they were seeing, and the fact that they just kept forging ahead. And now we get to be here and we get to be a part of the future of chiropractic. And just thank God that people had that level of resilience. I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah. Silly Lily, it's a great question. What about a gentle bounce on a rebounder? Yes, please do. It's one of the greatest motions that you could get. It's also muscle contracting, lymph moving, brain stimulating, body stimulating. It's so good for so many reasons. So I love, this is really, maybe we can talk about it next week, because obviously we circle around so many topics and we're all of a sudden get to this place where we got to wrap it up. But I love that you're thinking ahead. And I love that you're I need to make a plan to keep my body moving and feel good through the winter. You're going to increase your immune system by doing that. You're going to just do so many great things. But there's a couple other action things we want to ask, but what are a few things you can start to do now to make sure that you're set up for successful winter, especially if you're in the colder states for the winter months? What can you do now to get into your chiropractor, get started, get your body moving no matter what? The minimum 20-minute walk every single day will change your life if you're not already doing the equivalent of that. Increase your water, of course, prioritize your sleep, get in and get adjusted, and just plain do it.
And when people are saying, oh, my doctor told me I can't go to a chiropractor,
Do you guys want to know
That's
how fast Dr. Paul and I want to barf on that statement? It's like, that is actually, that is like them practicing chiropractic without a
Mhm.
chiropractic license. If
Mhm.
anybody ever tells you you can't go, that is them way out of their scope, way.
Mhm.
Unless there's like been, some surgery or something, like that's them out of their scope
And
of practice.
though we see people with surgery,
We do. I'm
people
just
who
saying,
have,
like,
we have, we have ways of creating impact in the nervous system that does not involve a traditional chiropractic adjustment. And I have patients who've been fused here and fused down here, and I have to just use all soft techniques like the activator or the arthrostim, but we are still able to impact the nervous system. And these people are like, oh my gosh, because they're in pain and they don't want to take any more medications. And when you can still impact nerves that are fused, and people are like, oh my God, I feel so amazing, and my headaches are gone, and the tingling in my hands is gone. Like, it's powerful stuff. So don't let anyone tell you you can't go to a chiropractor, because again, and that is practicing chiropractic without a license. And we worked really hard to establish the fact that we have the lowest malpractice insurance of any profession ever. I think mine's around $1,000 a year, like crazy, compared to your medical doctor is over, it's tens of thousands a year. And then orthopedics, you're talking, 100, 200,000, and surgeons, and, $1 million. Like, it's crazy.
it's
And
crazy
so
safe.
if we were harming people, our malpractice would be much higher, trust me. So
That's great.
yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, so great.
I love it, Lily. I love it. So thank you for allowing us to talk about the history of chiropractic and letting us sort of geek out on all of that. We appreciate each and every one of you. Please make sure you are subscribing to the channels, all the channels, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Appreciate all of your comments. Thanks for being here.
It's the biggest idea we know of.
It's the biggest idea we know.
Love
See
you
ya.
guys. Peace.